Hi everybody, Miss Panzarella here. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the syllabus. So one thing that I really want to make sure is that when we're in class, we are able to interact with each other, and discuss with each other, learn with each other, and really do those hands-on and lab activities. So much like the entire course, anything that could be done where you're just kind of reading individually, or I can just kind of get the information out to you via video, I would like to do that. So that is why we're going to take a look at the syllabus in this fashion. Now, you guys already were given the syllabus. Hopefully, you've already read through it. What I really just want to do at this point is just kind of show you some things that have changed, highlight some pieces of information, and then don't forget that you do have a syllabus quiz once you're kind of all done with this. There's also a follow-up intro survey. So I've already looked at all of your surveys that you submitted back in June, but I have a couple follow-up questions. Now, things have changed a little bit. Some questions that I had even just following up with that introduction survey. So make sure that you not only watch this video in its entirety, you take the syllabus quiz, and then you finish that intro survey. So that should kind of be with all in your day one. So whether that day one is in class, whether that day one is out of class, you should be getting this done at the beginning. Okay. So as far as office hours, you know that we are now here at 7 o'clock. So from 7 to 3, those will be my office hours. So if you have questions, please, 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 come and see me, send me an email. Even if it's not during those times, send me an email or see me in person to set up an appointment time. I always hate when people will go, an entire week and they'll say, well, I didn't get what we did on Monday, so I'm still struggling. Please don't do that. We want to kind of make sure that we are heading off questions, making sure that we're mastering things as we go, because physics has this way of kind of snowballing. We can never just say, oh, we're done with Unit 3. Let's throw away those notes. Physics doesn't work that way. It builds and builds and builds and builds. So for instance, Unit 4, I don't teach you anything new. All I do is combine Unit 2 and Unit 3. But in order to do 4, you would have had to master Unit 2 and Unit 3. So we really, really, really want to make sure that we are staying up to date on our content, that if you have questions, you ask them, so that we can really make sure that we go through this as seamlessly as possible. I don't want you to just spend days and days and days struggling when maybe I could have helped you in 5 whole minutes. So please see me. I am a resource, as are your classmates. This really is kind of a team environment. One of my professors had said that to me way back in the beginning of undergrad, and he was right. Physics is a team effort. So we work with each other, we learn from each other, and we ask questions when we have them. All right, so expectations and course description, we've kind of already talked about. Remember that I do use the modeling approach. The reason that I use the modeling approach is so that you build an applicable skill set. Because the modeling approach brings you through a discovery process where you discover vocabulary words, you discover the equations and the theorems all through experimentation, which is how it's always been done. So you are now the scientist, and then you're going to use all of that information and apply it into real world situations. And while you're doing that, you build 21st century skills that include problem solving, critical thinking. You're going to be able to look at a scenario and say, hey, I have all of these different variables. How do they fit together? What could the potential outcomes be? And let's make a decision based on that. And if that decision doesn't work, let's try a different path and say, well, why didn't this one work and how can I fix it for that one? All of these are skills that every single one of you will need, regardless of if you're going to college, the workforce, military. You need skills that are applicable no matter where you go. So that is really my goal, is to make sure that you leave here a little bit better at problem solving, critical thinking, being able to see the full picture. And we're going to do that while learning a whole bunch of physics along the way. So topics that we're going to cover, these are the full topics that will be covered in the AP curriculum. Now, electricity we do cover in AP Physics Part 2, or I'm sorry, AP Physics 2, because it just kind of goes hand in hand a little bit better. So you can expect 1 through 7. We'll talk a little bit about electricity if we can, but that's mostly covered in AP Physics 2. Now, cell phone policy. We are obviously going to need to use our cell phones a whole bunch. There are a bunch of apps that you're going to need to get. Google Meet may be a good one, but obviously you can use that on your computer. You're definitely going to want the quadratic calculator. Huddle Technique is a must-have. Or a different slow motion camera if you're not able to get Huddle, but you need a good quality slow motion camera. And the reason why I like Huddle Technique is that it gives it the time in real time. The problem with using the slow motion camera that is already on the Apple phone is that it gives it to you in slow motion time, and we need real time. So that is why Huddle Technique is awesome. So anyways, obviously we're going to be using a lot of technology, going to be using our cell phones. What I expect from you is basic common courtesy. If you are supposed to be interacting with someone, whether I'm talking with you, whether we're, talking in a discussion, a group setting, your lab partner, if you are supposed to be having a genuine human interaction, connection, somebody is trying to engage with you, your cell phone shouldn't be out. Because quite frankly, it's rude. When somebody is trying to talk with you and engage with you and you decide to look at Snapchat instead, or you decide to look at something on social media instead, that says that whatever they're trying to say to you or whatever connection they're trying to make with you isn't that important. It says that Snapchat is more important. The pair of sneakers that you just looked at on Instagram is more important. And that's rude, and I don't like that. Whether we mean it that way or not, that really is how it comes off. So general, just basic rules with the cell phone. If you are supposed to be having a human interaction, I don't want to see it. Okay. So the one thing that is new is the course Netiquette. So etiquette, but on the net, since a lot of our course is going to be in that virtual setting. So there have to be some guidelines within that virtual setting, and I do want you to look over all of them because whether we sometimes recognize it or not, our actions over the internet still have impacts. They still have consequences, even if they're not always intended. So like the very first one talks about sarcasm. Sometimes sarcasm doesn't always come through. I'm guilty of this sometimes as well. And sometimes I have to reread and say, hey, that reads in a completely different manner than I meant it. I need to fix that. So just be aware of these different things. Now, one thing as far as netiquette and expectations, I do expect you to be on Canvas every single day. You have to log in every day. There will be announcements. There are things for you to do. There are ways for you to make sure that you stay on track. And you will also be working frequently with your classmates. If you have something as a group that is due at midnight, you can't just log in at 11 o'clock. You have to be communicating with your classmates, recognizing when that due date is, and really having a clear line of communication with me, your classmates, and what has been posted online. Resources, we don't have a textbook. You can have one if you want one. It's not really going to be super helpful. They are much better for just propping up ramps, but if you want one, I can give you one. But do know that we have a ton of supplemental materials that come directly from the College Board. So a lot of texts that I take, if I give you a text, if I give you questions, free response, prompts, they come from College Board approved materials. So just know that I'm taking a lot from there. You will also be logging on to what is called the College Board Classroom. So it's kind of like what Google Classroom used to be. And then that's going to be kind of our secondary online resource that comes straight from the College Board and gives you straight AP level questions, materials. It is awesome, and we will use that a lot. Now, lab notebook, we already said this is something that is non-negotiable. You must have it every day. Every single bit of physics goes into that notebook. So whether it's a do now, a worksheet, a lab, whatever it happens to be, every single thing that you do that is physics related goes into that notebook. Now, there's obviously going to be some things where I'm just asking you to type up a response and send it in. That doesn't need to be in your notebook. But anything that where you are working through problems, you're doing a lab, you're collecting data, that all goes in there. So just real quick, and many of you have already been doing this, when I take a look at your notebook, I need to see three things. From here on out, I need to see the date, and I should see Monday through Friday because you're logging in and working on stuff every day, just like you would normally. And then you must have what is the activity. Like I kind of said previously, everything in physics builds and builds and builds. In Unit 7, we're actually going to come back to the very first lab that you're going to do on the very, I guess, second day of school. So everything is going to kind of come full circle, and we need to be able to access that information. So you should always clearly say, this is what I'm working on. Worksheet, lab, whatever it is, it goes there. Also, when I check your notebooks, which I can do at any point because they should always be updated, I need to see what I'm looking at. If I don't know what I'm looking at, I can't give you credit for it. And then the learning goal is just, that's going to be something that's given to you. So what's kind of our focus for that day? So I should see this on every page, every day, Monday through Friday. This is in that top left-hand corner. That's how every page will start. Now, there's some materials that you are going to need for labs at home. So just kind of look through this. I would start to gather some of these. You know, if you run to Walmart, Target, wherever you like to go, and you see a tape measure, I would get it. If you're looking at these materials and you're thinking, hey, I don't think I'm going to be able to get this, tell me, I will give it to you. I can send you home with a whole kit, but only if I know. So you have to tell me what you need. Grading policy is still the same. We are still total points. As far as midterms and finals, regardless of if you're taking the AP exam or not, everybody gets the same midterm and final because we still have college board and college level expectations. Oh, one thing to note, and I did want to make sure that this was highlighted for you. You are now in a college course. Over the summertime, we had a little bit more leeway. It was a little bit more lax. You are now in a college course. You have college level expectations, and one of those expectations comes with due dates. So if something is due at midnight, that is the time. All those memes you see about 11:59 and the person on is like, on the computer, it's due at midnight. If you submit at 12:05, it is late. I even, this comes directly from every single one of the syllabi that I've even had at the graduate level. Because I'm taking 6 credits along with you. I had 2 classes over the summertime. It's the same with every one of those classes. So be aware of that. Now, the only other thing that's a little bit new is as far as quizzes. If you take an in-class quiz, there will be a version 2. If it is a take-home or if it's an online, there will not be a version 2 because it's going to be open note. So that's a little bit of a change. And quizzes are the only things that have a version 2. Tests don't have a version 2. Lab practicums don't have a version 2. But if it is something that it's take home or online, no version 2, since it's going to be open note. All right, so I think that is pretty much it as far as new things in the syllabus. When you are in class, whether it's going to be the A-Day cohort or the B-Day cohort, you will be getting this in the pencil paper version because you do have to sign the safety contract and return the safety contract the next day or the next day that you happen to be in class. Now, this safety contract is lab safety because we recognize, hey, there are some things that we should be doing in a lab and things that we shouldn't, so that is why we have that. All right, so I think that is everything for the syllabus. Let me know if you have any questions. Don't forget to take the survey and the quiz. All right, see you all soon.